All right, it's Monday night, live here from Space Coast Podcast Studios. With me, as always, Mayor Paul Alfrey. How are you, Mayor? Happy Monday.
Hey, happy Monday. I'm doing great. How are you doing, Josie?
Awesome. It's a lovely day. We have a great guest and an awesome topic, so let's dive right in.
Man, I'll tell you what, I got lucky on this guest because we're going to put him in the hot seat. Actually,
okay.
we're not. Well, we are. He's great. I mean, he's actually Greg Donovan, our executive director for the Melbourne Orlando International Airport. And I'll tell you what, an amazing man. He is really making it happen at our airport. And actually, he's going to throw out some stats and stuff tonight to kind of talk about the airport. And you're going to be very amazed. And I sit on the Airport Authority board, and I'll tell you, I was even amazed coming on to see some of the things because I grew up here and knowing that our little airport is actually, the largest employer in Brevard County and with the economic impact development of about $2.8 billion, and that's with a B,
wow.
$billion a year. All the companies, the spinoffs. I mean, our airport is making it happen. And again, lucky to have Greg Donovan here with us tonight.
Hey, thanks, Mayor. It's really nice to be here. I really appreciate inviting me.
Outstanding. So let's rock and roll, shall we?
Oh, absolutely. So we've already learned a lot about the economic impact of the airport. Lots going on. You can see a lot of dust going on right now. Why don't we start with that? I think that's something that people can commonly see from the street.
Oh, absolutely. Now, one of the best things about being the executive director of the airport is to be able to talk about what resources the community has that doesn't come out of the main tax stream. So everything with the airport, yes, we're a governmental entity. We're an airport authority that was established back in the 60s.
Sure. We're
a branch of city government. That's why we have our mayor and 2 other city council members on our 7-member board.
Okay.
But the best part about this is the fact that everything the airport creates, the jobs, there's about 20,000 people work every day on campus. Now, they don't all work for the airport authority. They work for all the businesses that we attract here. And these companies don't come. Embraer doesn't come unless there's a certain runway ability, a certain airside of it. So it really is a lot of great information about what our community, where it's going, and the economic impact. Everybody says, well, $2.8 billion. That seems like a high number. What does that really mean to me? So you're not paying property taxes, you're not paying ad valorem taxes, you're not paying sales taxes, but you reap the benefits of about $1 out of every 20 that's generated in our county is generated from our airport. So it really is an economic driver.
Yeah, no kidding.
And everybody knows somebody that works at the airport, Northrop Grumman or L3 Harris or Rockwell, and just fabulous companies that are there. But I think tonight, we want to talk a lot about the commercial element of it, which there's so much to talk about with the airport. You could almost do 4 or 5 chapters of this, right?
And we may have to, episode, A-3, whatever it is. We'll just build a whole series of it. And listen, if there's that much to talk about, that's more than exciting.
Hey, and we'll start because there is a lot of information, but we'll start real quick because, our show's named, I call it The British is Coming. And, we hear a lot about TUI coming in and the airlines. And, a lot of people don't know about TUI except their colorful planes. And I know you've been over there. We had dinner with the executives from that area. And even the board meeting, the special board meeting that you had for us, it was very, it was enlightening to see the amount of resources that TUI has, from the planes, from the ships, from the hotels. Can you go a little bit on that?
Sure. Well, so TUI, T-U-I, is one of the largest tour companies in the world, in fact. And in the UK specifically, the division that we're working with, they are by far the leader of tourism from the UK. So we've been working with them and looking at this for about 7 years. And really it's about niche flying. They want a great experience to be able to come in, hit the ground running, and of course Universal and Disney and all the attractions are going to be a big part of that.
Sure.
But it's surprisingly, most of the visitors will come and actually rent cars. They select their own itinerary. And let's face it, after so many days of an attraction, you want to break it up a little bit, right? So there's going to be things like the beach time. There's going to be when we're launching rockets almost once a week now.
Every day now. Pretty much every day.
It's just it's an amazing opportunity for them to really get out and enjoy genuine Florida, because you don't get that in all parts of Florida, and logistically and just strategically where we're placed. Especially now that we have direct access to I-95, we're within, really a short distance of some really great amenities for people to get around. So TUI itself is just really a great company, and they're going to start flying in 2 weeks from tomorrow.
Ooh, 2 weeks.
It's coming quick. It's coming really
super quick. Are we ready? Is the airport
ready? We're working as hard as we can, literally around the clock.
Sure.
There's days we have, and I'll get into our construction that we're doing right now, but it really is amazing to see the type of equipment that TUI's going to be flying in. It's Boeing 787s. They have about 350 to 375 passengers. Transatlantic from 9 different locations in the UK. This is historic, Mayor. This is the very first time that our airport has had scheduled transatlantic service. And we anticipate about 130,000 visitors this year alone. So the season's going to run all the way to probably late November or so.
Sure.
And there's just a real backup demand with COVID that's taken place. People want to get out. They want to travel, and Florida's a great value for the UK people.
You know, it's interesting. During the board meeting, they talked about the 135,000, and then next year they're wanting to look at about 175,000, then the year after that about maybe 200,000. So, as people, we hopefully get out of COVID, knock on wood, and we close the COVID theater, we can, start getting back to what we do best, and that's to live our life. Real quick, I want to give a shout out. We have quite a few listeners and watchers, but one, Marie Edge, says, woo-hoo, we will be flying into Melbourne from the UK next month. So we even got people from the UK watching.
I love it. I love it. And what a great opportunity for us to show our community. I mean, everything we love about Melbourne, everything we love about Central Florida, this is our chance to share that and to show exceptional hospitality. Because, hey, we all travel, right? Even domestically, you can see sometimes where you get into a routine. There's nothing distinguishable about going through some of these places. You get yelled at to turn right, turn left, go down these stairs, and the search process and all that stuff. It gets a little monotonous. We have a chance, just because of our size and our focus on customer service, really to treat these guests with just incredible care and really let them have fun. Going to the airport shouldn't be stressful. It really shouldn't. And we have that ability to do it.
And I'm going to add something, and I really want to commend you, Greg, that with this airport expansion, first off, when they're coming off the plane, the Space Coast theme. I mean, we are the Space Coast. We're not Orlando, but we have a theme. We're dolphins, we're manatees, we're the beaches, and just seeing the expansion now when we were doing the walkthrough, it's just absolutely amazing. We'll throw some pictures up here shortly, but the fact that with your leadership, you were saying we're going to have local breweries there for our beer, and the murals coming off. We got local artists doing murals. So the transformation, TUI is one thing, and that's a big impact. But just the transformation of this airport is just, I'm at awe when, being in the construction industry, seeing all the work being done, and we're about 70 million?
72 million.
72 million, yeah.
Yeah, and that's just for the terminal that we've started. We really started design with that about 2 years ago. Incredibly complex undertaking under, the height of COVID. A lot of people weren't working traditionally face-to-face.
Right.
And that, I don't care what anybody says, that unless you have that face-to-face interaction, you're not getting the full quality of especially when you're designing something and then getting into the building stage. So it really took a lot of work for us to get to that point. But that being said, though, keep in mind that our little airport, in the past 7 years now, we put $100 million into the airfield. Wow. So we rebuilt all 3 of our runways.
No tax dollars.
Yeah, no tax dollars at all. Mostly grants from the FAA that we were very competitive with. I really have to thank FDOT. They have done an amazing job. In fact, Secretary Tebow has been a really good friend of our community, just to be able to help us get these grants. And then it's airport-generated revenue that goes into it. But if you put it all together, we couldn't facilitate 787 wide-body airplanes, transatlantic aircraft, without the right runway, without the right tower and air traffic control facilities, which we rebuilt that as well. And now the terminal building's really the last link. And really, it's interesting to me that that's the same terminal. I went to FIT. I graduated FIT in 1991. It hasn't changed since 1987. It's been the same terminal. Right. And we've gotten good use out of it. You know, we maintain it. It's not dirty or anything like that, but it's old. And we want to have that first impression.
Well, one thing, and being old, you see now before, you know, when you'd have Delta or someone in there, everything was plastic, and that was their assigned, you know, their assigned terminal. Now everything's digital. Yeah. And you were saying that, you know, you hit a button and you can go from Allegiant to you know, TUI with a button, and even the computers will work for them. So I hope and that will attract more flights. And I know one of the questions that we had earlier was someone had asked, hey, what about more flights out of Melbourne? Can you go into that and what we're doing?
Absolutely. And it all goes back to having the right facilities. So having the right facilities in place actually moved the needle, and we have a new carrier, Allegiant, that started recently in November, flying to Pittsburgh, flying to Nashville, and flying to just outside of Charlotte, area called Concord. And a lot of people will say, well, wait a minute, I want to go from here to someplace else. Why aren't we doing that? It's really about bringing people here. TUI's doing the same thing. You're really bringing tourism here. And it starts with, when we want to find a new carrier, we have to demonstrate that markets are viable. I mean, let's even look right now what's going on with oil. I mean, it's $130 a barrel or something like that. It's a huge financial risk for any of these companies to fly and not see the ridership that's there. Right. So the best thing we can do, and doing what we can do, is to have the right facilities. That's within our span of control, right? Then we market it. You know, I can't even tell you, Ed Mayor, how many times I've been at meetings and somebody will stand up and have questions and say, hey, have you called Southwest Airlines? I thought, you know, I didn't think of that.
Who? Did you know who?
Who is that? We engage every airline that we possibly can, and we just have to demonstrate it to them, the viability of flying a route. So how can we do that beyond our direct span of control? Well, you actually use it. And the best opportunity we have right now for domestic travel is Allegiant. They're just starting. They're just understanding the market. Sure. If you want to go and have a fun time from here, go up to Nashville for $39 or $49. Go up on a Thursday, come back on a Sunday. You can't beat that. And that will lead into better things. If we can show that, they will expand routes dramatically. This airline does well. Other airlines become very competitive. And the next thing you know, we've got 8 or 9 domestic airlines. In the meantime, we wanted to focus on, we knew that niche of flying internationally. We have a beautiful, what's called a federal inspection station. It's a state-of-the-art facility. Much like the ticket counters that we talked about, that has flexibility. We can move people around. It's the latest automation, and Customs Border Protection have been outstanding here. We work with them, the same crews that work up at the port as well, and we work on that synergy. So international is one segment of what we're working on, but you have to have the tools, and the tools are runways, air traffic control, and a terminal.
Yeah, and you see also the popularity of the airport will come too, you know, with TUI flying, and that's really at least a flight a day. If you break down those numbers, it's 1 to 2 flights every day.
Yes, sir. That's absolutely right, and that's just the beginning. So there's going to be times, periodically, we have 3 on the ground at the same time. And then next year, and this is all public, it came out just a few weeks ago, TUI owns a cruise company as well. Marbella is the name of the company, and they have a series of boats that are very large cruise ships. They are going to base a cruise ship up at Port Canaveral as well. Brilliant. So next season, 2023, they're going to add even more flights. So we'll see on average 3 flights a day when they get the cruise operation going, and they're bringing people in to take cruises for 1 week. And then, you know, the average stay of European tourism is about 9 days. And during that time, each individual is spending about $3,400 on hotels, restaurants, buying things. So it's a great boon to the whole area, and it's not just international drive. It's not just the attractions. It's all of Central Florida that's going to be exposed to this.
Yeah.
You know, and my goal as mayor too, and it's actually my responsibility, is that we have good economic development, which creates jobs, good paying jobs, engineering jobs or service jobs, and so this definitely does that. And I had a couple of people say, well, they're coming here and there's no way for us to fly over there. Maybe to start, but things always change as you start getting them in. And I'm sure, like I said, when the British come and it's not just British, because when we had our meeting was Ireland, Scotland,
Brussels,
so
Germany,
Germany, and it was all those different people coming, and it was like amazing. I was just like shocked at all, and they broke it all down to 1/3 will go here, 1/3 will do this, and their spending habits. So TUI definitely has the market on that. They know what's going on. I'm looking here alone. TUI's got, it says 130 airplanes.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And they actually have 5 what we call AOCs, Air Operating Certificates. Mm-hmm. So they own 5 airlines, and the folks that are making the decisions to come here have that span and ability. For example, they own 50% of a major Canadian airline. So I think it's going to open up a lot of doors. And we've had a lot of questions about how come we can't fly on them over to Europe. And it really comes down to they fly in the high 90s in terms of their load factor. And they don't want to leave people that are on tour over here. They come over, spend a week or two, and they're flying back. If something happens and they are left behind, the cost of that is enormous. Yeah. So they really don't have a lot of capacity when you're bringing people over, taking them around and coming back. It's not your traditional flying in the way we think of it. But that being said, though, with demand, much like everything else, we demonstrate that there is a demand. I think it will open up some doors, and we could easily see other parts of Europe. And then some of those actually would do scheduled walk-up. You can buy your ticket coming and going.
Wow. Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, and you look at places like Fort Myers, too, is a perfect example. They're about 15, 20 years ahead of us in some ways. You have people that come over and enjoy things so much and see how beautiful this area is and what the fantastic people and how strong of a community it is. Next thing you know, they're investing. They're buying property. They're using this as a place that they can get away to on a more frequent basis, and really expands to that. And it's not junk travelers. It's not people that are spending the minimum amount. These folks are really interested in having a good time, and it spreads all the way out. The folks out at Camp Holly are going to notice a lot of British people coming over and going on the airboat rides.
Can they get airboat rides there? I can get airboat rides,
right.
and the economic development and the jobs, the creation, and our bartenders, our waitresses, our waiters, and they're going to be able to make an impression and really benefit from this. So this is an outstanding opportunity for this community, because it could have gone somewhere else.
Easily, it could have gone somewhere else. They operated for a period of time out of Sanford, and it was a much smaller operation than what this entails. But they could have gone anywhere, and they recognized the value. I've got to give it to the folks at TUI, quite honestly, because instead of flying on top of another airline and just being lost in the shuffle, they're looking for something new. And for the traveler that's coming over, for the folks that are listening to this podcast that are coming over to visit us, we want to make that distinction that you're not standing in line for 3 hours, and you're not bored to tears with things, and it's not the same shops that you can see on high streets in London. It's very authentic here. You mentioned about the brew pubs. We've got some incredible amenities that are coming online that feature all local Grimaldi's, the potato chips that are in the chocolate, right? Things like that out of the
Helen
gift shop.
Blazes, in their coastal brewery.
That's right.
They'll be able to come off and taste our beer and what our Space Coast puts out. So to me, that's very special. Even our coffees and et cetera. So this is really a game changer. And if you would look at TUI and all the places they fly, I mean, you can look at their website and they have packages, but for them to be able to add the Space Coast, because I don't know where anywhere in the world you can watch a rocket go off. And, we all get excited when one goes off. We run outside, we missed it. But imagine seeing that for the first time.
That's right.
and then seeing it again and again before you leave. To me, that's monumental. That's a game changer. And
it is. And so the cities they're going to fly to kind of go through. I'm a real facts and statistics kind of guy, right? So
sure.
I got to rattle this off. Is London by far is the biggest city. They're flying out of Gatwick, but Manchester, Newcastle, Glasgow, Scotland, Doncaster, England, Bristol, England, and Birmingham, England. And there's even some discussion about some other places like Edinburgh, Scotland as well. So when you see the mixture of people that are going to be coming over here and just really experiencing this, some have been here before. It depends on the age of your kids, right? But the model that we have of the typical traveler is a family of 4, a family of 5 with small kids. And this has been the family vacation. I can almost envision having, a cutout of something up on the refrigerator and with a countdown of 300 days to come to Florida. And so what a great opportunity for all of us to have. And, for people that are listening that live here,
right,
I would ask if there's one thing you could do for the airport is show hospitality, show friendship that, that really when you're an international traveler, those first impressions, not only when you just get off the airport, but you're in downtown Melbourne shopping and you're finding some of these really unique shops and so forth.
Sure.
Folks that that live here, be yourselves and just reach out. This is what makes this area great. And the airport is always reflective of the community. We call it the front door.
Right.
It's also the back door in leaving, in the sense that that's the last impression you have as well. So we really want to move up our game quite a bit. It's been a long road to get there, but I think it's going to work extremely well, and I think people will be very happy.
Not only that, there's got to be a lot of little spin-offs of ways to go ahead and not just capitalize, but also be part of that answer as far as things for people to do.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of things that we kind of get into our routines, things we love. I went to a speakeasy over the weekend over in O'Galley. What a cool thing to do. And I'm sure you can do that in other cities, but it doesn't have the flavor that O'Galley and the Arts District has.
For sure, right.
We have really strong supporters, folks that own a pizza place over there, in fact, FM Pizza of it.
Yep.
And, they're in a historic building with incredibly different food. That's the kind of stuff that people really, really like. You don't want to go to a manufactured franchise type of experience. You want to have authentic flavor, fresh seafood. Those things are so important to our travelers. So I think it's really going to work well. And going back to where we really focused on TUI, if you would have gone back in time and we would have said, hey, we're going to get a couple of flights a week on British Airways to London, the community would be ecstatic. Little Melbourne's getting that. The first things that were said to me when I started, you can't land airplanes that big. The runways aren't long enough. Now, they definitely are, and we actually have a maintenance facility, STS, that every time you drive by the airport, a whole another batch of airplanes, including wide bodies. So we're doing fine on the airfield. But when you think about when we focused on, we could go get one airline to fly a couple times a week, and that would be a win. Or we could really focus on a turnkey service with one very large company that is going to move in and really have the lion's share of ticket counter space and gate space. And Mayor, you mentioned earlier, we call it common use facilities. On days that TUI's not flying, or if they're not here, they get in the early afternoon typically. Let's say it's morning, we can put a Delta flight on that gate, and those the folks that are running the ticket counters, they can just type in their password, and the Delta logo pops up, and they can do everything they can normally do at a gate space, and then it turns around to TUI. So it's given us a lot of flexibility.
Well, there was a comment made here, and I kind of have to chuckle from a Maria Edge. It has to be quicker through immigration than MCO.
Yeah, so I'm going to do my best. I promised myself. I think I promised you.
That's actually brilliant. I love that. That's awesome.
I promised I would not, say bad things about our peers in the industry. There is a competitiveness of airports, no question about it. But yeah, the wait time is going to be significantly lower, and we're doing that with newer technology.
Yeah,
we're also, to give you an idea, we'll have 10 lanes starting out of customs agents facilitating arrivals. You actually collect your bags before you go through customs, which is a time saver, and then you're right out the door. We have a brand new welcome center, it's called, and it's where the rental cars and the people that are going on buses to different locations are all staged. And so I think the time coming through is going to be noticeably different. And then going back outbound, when you're going through the checkpoint, the best equipment out there. In fact, I've been fighting for, speaking of other airports, fighting with LaGuardia. They keep trying to take our equipment. It's brand new equipment that the TSA is implementing, a brand new checkpoint. For those of you that are familiar with our existing configuration, very old, very limited, very small. We're going to have 4 lanes to start with, and then we'll go to 5. And the technology is amazing. Instead of TSA officers standing, next to the equipment and looking at the screens, and everybody that's going through wants to look at those screens, and they're grabbing people and pulling them to the side and wanting them and doing all these things. This is a much more refined process in which the screeners are actually in a room. You'll never even see them. So the number of people that are standing by the checkpoints itself is different. And the CT technology that's there, I mean, it's just amazing.
Yeah,
it's very good.
I saw that when we went to the walkthrough, and we throw some of the pictures up if we could on some of the construction.
Yeah,
I was like, wow, this is almost like futuristic. These are some of the pictures of, and this would have been a couple weeks ago. So we've they're working night and day. And this is kind of the idea of the some of the construction. Massive. This is massive construction, and that if you could go through some of that and tell us what that is, Greg.
Sure. So this is a walkway coming out of the FIS to the Welcome Center itself, and I can tell you it looks a lot different than what it looks like now. In that picture, they've made good progress. Parts of this are not going to be completed by the 22nd arrival. We're continuing to work to get everything up and running. Really, the big hurdle for us is around Easter. Easter is a huge holiday for TUI. This is really one of the more dramatic pictures, and you get a sense of the change. Instead of those low ceilings and low light environment, this is you. So you go through the checkpoint, and you come up either an escalator or an elevator or stairs, and you come into this what we call a holding room, and this is where the seating before the gates are. And you'd look over on the left where the glass is. There's multiple gates along there. On the right is a whole row of retail. So we'll have gift shops, we'll have duty free, we'll have Locals I think it's called Locals.
Locals, I think so.
Yeah. And it does feature just about everything we possibly can from local vendors. So we're always excited to learn about the best new products. But walking through, you go through, and it connects to the old terminal. This is the old checkpoint. And what's being converted into is actually a VIP lounge, because there's enough people coming through with this international operation. You'd say, well, wait a minute, is Melbourne a place I would necessarily go to a Sky Club type of a thing? Not domestically, but internationally, you've got to be there about 2, and a lot of times these families will be there 3 hours plus. You got to give them things to do. So that is great space that turns into a lounge environment, a lot of things to do with the kids, big playground environment, things like that.
Yeah, and I want to throw out, too, also a lot of the pictures, we can't really show because there is security involved. But I'll tell you right now, that is just a scratch of what's done. And again, I want to commend you for the leadership. The board, our board has really done a great job for our airport. Chairman Jack Rouse, he's been a tremendous, honestly, I'm gonna say a mentor to me. And I'm busy on some of the mayor stuff and what's going on in the city, and you and him are pretty much pulling your hair out on trying to get some of this construction stuff. Because I walk through and I go, well, being in construction myself, there's no way this can get done right now, and it's getting done. And just think of the small jobs. We have concrete being poured here, and steel and doors. And imagine, right now, if you try to do something at your house and you're trying to get windows, or you're trying to get doors, or you're trying to get that stove, and you can barely get anything right now. And when you do, the price is really risen lately. But to pull this off right now, I know it's very stressful, Greg, but I got to say, you're the right man for the job, and your staff, Mark. I mean, I could go down the list, and you can do that for us, but they've done a great job.
Well, Mayor, that's exactly what I was going to say, thank you for the compliments, and certainly it starts with the board having an airport authority and being able to focus just on airport matters makes a huge difference. And all 7 members that are on our airport authority are volunteers. They don't get paid.
Nope.
It's the 3 are elected officials with city council, but the rest are all industry representatives or chamber representative and things like that. So the work that they put into that, all of you including, I can't thank you enough for what you do every day. It's nice to be the director that I get to go out and talk about it, but it wouldn't be possible without the leadership and the time that you put into it. But then also my staff. I've got staff that I brought in from Boise. I have a guy that works for me that worked at JetBlue. I've got people that have really great experience coupled with people that have worked their whole careers here. And I can tell you the common denominator for them all is the fact that they have equity in the project. They love their airport. They work extremely hard when no one's looking, or mainly me when I'm not looking, and they really get the job done. And when you believe in something so strong, I always tell them, look, you're going to drive by this place 20 years from now, and your children or even your grandchildren, and you're going to look over there and point to it or say something, I was responsible for that. What a great responsibility is really what it comes down to. But I can tell you our team is dedicated. They've got the buy-in to the product, and you don't get that all the time, and especially very large airports, and there's a lot of turnover and things like that. We've got a really good team, and I think that's reflective of the success of this project. It's going to be aggravating at first. I mean, I have nightmares about the fact that we can't get a computer chip for a baggage carousel. The whole baggage carousel will be installed, but this dang little computer chip that's made someplace is short. No one can find one, around and just here, but around the world. So we got to work on things like that. It's going to take a little time to get finely tuned, but man, oh man, I really hope people have a chance to come out and use it. We sponsored a chamber event where we fly up. You're very familiar of going up to Tallahassee, and it's one of the reasons why we get good grants is we're always up there telling them what's going on here. But we'd go up for the day and come back, and so we had 50 chamber representatives that different companies that came out and met in the morning, jumped on a plane to go up to Tallahassee. And I was just talking to a few of them, and this is indicative of the issue. Somebody said, I've lived in Melbourne my whole life, and I've driven by this place all the time. I've never been inside here. This is a big airport.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just shake my head and think, oh my gosh, we haven't hit that notch or that niche because we haven't found the right products, or we haven't been able to bring in the right products, and I think it's a cumulative process. But if we can stop right now, we have about 80% driving over to MCO, and it's a big place. It's one of the biggest top 10 airports in the United States. Got a lot of heavy metal flying through there, a lot of frequency. The JetBlues in the southwest of the world aren't interested in coming here because they don't want to cannibalize what they're already pulling from here.
Right.
But I look at it differently. I look at it this way, that, hey, this is our catchment area, and if we offer the right products, people should want to fly from their hometown airport. And that's my job. That's what we've been working at. So I can assure you, I do know the number to Southwest. Actually, it's in my cell phone here. We could really surprise them and call them.
You're
Put
live.
them live. Yeah.
Put it live.
Why aren't you here?
Aren't you here?
But it is true, and it just takes persistence, and it takes being able to prove things.
You brought up a good point too, and even when you look at the city, when you talk about going up to Tallahassee and working on getting grants, I before I got elected into office, even before coming to mayor, I wasn't really too keen on how important that was, and that you're competing with 67 other counties and other airports, and for example, like just we talk about the Indian River Lagoon. We just the city of Melbourne, since the last couple of years, we've gotten at least nearly $2 million in grants, when other local cities just to the south of us and that is bigger than us, and I won't name names, they didn't get any money. And it's not that they didn't try, but the fact that we're up there, working them and saying this is what we need, and they understand Melbourne, they respect Melbourne. I mean, Melbourne is on the map, and a lot of people, they don't know we are really the only commercial airport in the county.
That's right. And you bring up a really, really good point. grants just don't come out of hey, do you need money type of a thing.
Yeah.
There's so much demand for what I know is infrastructure. And again, we're not in the business of competing with schools or social programs or any of the things that you work as a mayor in a municipal environment, which I got to say, you've got that ability to get out there and talk about your community and sell people on their investment in the grants that they make decisions about. Mm-hmm. And that's a perfect thing about being a really good mayor is doing those types of things. It's nothing against some of these other communities, but Tallahassee doesn't know if they don't know.
Yeah.
And then you start to build a rapport. We build rapports with whether it's a federal level or state level, that they know when we say that we're looking for funds for a project, we're going to do the project, and it's going to make them proud. And the governor's been to visit us a couple of times, and I expect he'll be out here quite a bit more in the future to look at his return on investment. And when the state puts money into a program here, and we can proudly say this is the result, we have another international gateway to the state. We have jobs that are being produced. You mentioned earlier about jobs. We had a job. We've actually had 2 job fairs now, and the ground handling company. So these are the folks that work the ticket counters and then what we call below the wing in handling and turning the aircraft. They're hiring 80 positions alone for that one company.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so the first job fair that we had about 1,000 applicants come out. We had about 20 companies that were interviewing, and a lot of jobs came from that. The second time was about 800, a little lower amount. But Menzies got their 80 employees out of those events. So that has direct impact. And a lot of people say, well, wait a minute, unemployment right now is 3%. Do we really need more jobs? It's about the quality of jobs, right? These are better paying jobs than entry level. These are better paying jobs in many circumstances than fluctuating jobs that are seasonal versus something more reliable. And a lot of these companies, too, have got abilities to promote. So you get in with a company like that, you're able to move up. It makes a big difference.
Well, now, this is my podcast, so I can say really what I want. The fact that, jobs should start X amount of dollars, really a person should constantly work on bettering themselves and look for better jobs. And my daughter started a job at minimum wage, and she, that's the minimum wage job. And fortunately, she says, I love to work, and I'm going to get better, and down the road I'll get a better job. And so I think that again tracks good paying jobs, and you say, for example, Menzies, why is that important to have those 80 employees? Because what is their job?
That's right. It's an important job, and it opens the door. Menzies is all over the world, in fact, that there are people that start here, move up and get a supervisor job and so forth, and move to different places. Very similar if you're familiar with Eastern Florida State College's airframe and power plant program that's on our airport as well. It's about a 2-year program straight out of high school. In fact, some of the O'Galley's got such a great aviation program that you can get credit before even getting out.
My daughter's in it.
Is she?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, my daughter's in it. Yeah, my daughter's in it, and she loves it. And she wanted to go to MIT, and she's checking Florida Tech out, and and really she knows, even though she's got that minimum wage job at 16. Now she's 16. She knows when she graduates with those certificates at the school that she's gonna have employers waiting on her.
The average salary with an airframe power plant background is about $57,000.
Yeah,
and that's great. You think about a 20-year-old, 21-year-old. That's not going out and getting a 4-year degree and then paying triple that back to pay off your college loan. That is really a great opportunity, and we're seeing a lot of that here. The companies that are here are hiring straight out of Eastern Florida State College's program. So
love that.
Yeah,
I love
CPT
that.
with the EDC. That's 12 weeks. It's entry level.
That's right.
But we're doing a lot of different things. Building a lot of skill sets for a lot of local kids, and you could bypass that 4-year degree or decide to maybe take your skill and make a good salary while going to school, because school's a lot more flexible as well. So make 57 while you're going to school, pay for your books up front, and then have no carry loans to carry through the next 15, 30 years.
That's right. That's right.
And real quick, Ben, before we wrap up, we'll go a little bit of rapid fire. Why do you think, Greg, we're the best airport?
Well, again, I go back to the fact that we have such a dedicated and talented staff that believe, and they're going to go that extra mile. Whether it's, we have hurricanes on occasion, they're all there. I don't even have to ask for volunteers. They all want to work hard through it. So I'm going to say, why do we have best airport? Because we have the most dedicated and committed staff.
Okay, and then also I want to thank you and the staff for putting on some local great air shows. I know when the air shows go, and with last week, the Blue Angels, we got the Thunderbirds, and I think everybody's excited when they come in and you see it across the skies, and our airport is doing it.
That's right, and what a great opportunity for the public to come out and get up close and personal, seeing the flying, seeing the static displays, seeing the other sides of the airport, not just the terminal. And so we think it's a great program. We've done now 7 air shows in 5 years, just under 5 years, and we've gotten into now a routine that we're going to skip a year. All right, so we're not going to have an air show until 2023. It'll probably
next year.
Yeah, it sounds like a long ways off.
It's not. Yeah.
And there's other airports around us that have air shows, and we're very conscious not to step on toes. We don't want to, fatigue everybody on air shows, but to see the Blue Angels, United States Navy Blue Angels, as you know, you recruited me from Pensacola, so I know the Blue Angels real well.
Yep. Yes,
it never gets old. It's just, it really is encouraging, and it helps a lot with the understanding about the commitment of these pilots in aviation, not just military pilots, but everywhere around. And it's not just pilots, too. It's people on the ground that make it happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I will say I'm very, very honored to be on the Airport Authority Board to serve as mayor, because what makes this job so good and so fun and so rewarding is the people like yourself, the directors. If people don't know how the structure works, really the city of Melbourne has 2 directors. We have a city manager, and then we have you, the airport executive director. So you're both basically running your own show. So that's how it works, and really we have you knock it out of the park, and when a lot of people are looking for good airport directors, we have a good one. We don't have anything to worry about, and unfortunately we have to tell him he can't go anywhere.
Yeah, I'm here for a long time. I got a big mortgage to pay off, and I want to work hard, sir. So as long as you'll have me, I'm really happy with the structure too, because it really comes down to, again, being able to focus on things. If you have all these other matters, there's a lot of airports that are city or county departments, and so the way it's set up here with a city manager and city departments with department directors, and then me as executive director, and then we have departments, and it really works well. The charter works well. Airport authorities are really, performance-wise, the best airports in the not only the state, the country.
Yeah. So, it's been a great conversation. We've had a great turnout, and, we have people from overseas watching us. And would you have any last comments for the people coming?
Well, I would say get excited.
Yes.
When you look out the window and you see our beautiful beaches. By the way, our approach has been named the most scenic approach when you're established on a final approach coming in not only the United States, but we rank number 4 in the world. So that's pretty darn cool. And get excited.
That's very cool.
You look out the window, see the great water, have a great time, experience authentic Florida here. It really is something. Take time out of your schedule to just spend the day exploring. And there's plenty of things to do at the theme parks and all those things. It all comes together collectively. And my goal is to make sure when they're getting on the plane, they got a return on their investment, much like the governor gets on his. Yeah,
and I will say when we have some followers and watchers from over at the UK, we have a beautiful downtown Melbourne. We have a wonderful arts district in downtown O'Galley. Melbourne is the best city on the Space Coast, but you'll have the ability to visit places like Melbourne Beach, Cocoa Beach. You go up the port and see the cruise ships or whatever you do. You're really going to like it here, and you're going to understand why we love calling this place home.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anything else, Jesse?
Amen. No, as always, share us with you, watch us, and tune in we'll come back next week.
Oh yeah, we're here every week, and next week, we'll we'll likely be discussing some lagoon stuff, because I know the report card for the lagoon is coming out on the 10th. And
yes,
and I don't pull punches, and
right.
It may be, we're going to have to. We got a lot of work to do, but you know what? We're going to get it done. And thank you, Jesse Hall from Space Coast Podcast for running this show, and I want to thank my special guest, our airport executive director Greg Donovan. I tell you again, we want to thank you for your service to this, and I know the board. We all had our discussion a few meetings ago, and you've done an outstanding job. And I want to personally thank you for everything that you're doing, because
it's a privilege.
People are about to see the results of your hard work and your staff's hard work.
Yes,
so
sir.
Thank you, everybody, and have a great night.
There you go.